Welcome to Wake Up with Joni, the podcast where embodied consciousness meets life and leadership through lived awareness. Today's conversation is an invitation to soften, to listen, and to remember something essential within you. I'm joined by Marisa Handler, an award winning author, coach, and teacher through writing and voice, both spoken and sung. She has guided thousands of people back to their creative essence, helping them navigate uncertainty with grounded clarity and reconnect to the wisdom that lives within. This conversation is for anyone who has ever felt stuck, disconnected, or unsure of their next step, and is ready to listen for what's quietly calling them forward. And whether you're listening or you're viewing, tune in to Marissa's energy. It's a great lesson in how and what it looks like to be grounded. So, welcome, Marissa.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm very excited about this conversation. And so, I love to start with who you are, how you came to do what you do, and was there a you before this?
Yeah, gosh, I feel like I've gone through a number of iterations of self, but I think one of the ways to frame this is I spent my childhood in apartheid South Africa, and then my family immigrated before apartheid ended, when it looked like things were just going in a very, very dire direction. And I think that opened up so much in me in terms of ultimately my own journey around the connection between personal transformation and collective transformation. Also, just personal rupture, things that had been lost and seemed irrecoverable. I've always been highly creative, but I think that experience really kind of set the course of my life. And I've mostly followed my heart, I would say, and it's taken me in a lot of interesting directions. Yeah, I'll leave it at that for now. Yeah.
So I got the chills as you were saying the piece about South Africa and apartheid, and there's such a dichotomy of a starkness of injustice or imbalance, and yet the land itself feels like it's such a spiritual place. And I've only been to Africa once, and I was only on the Seychelles, which is right off
Yeah.
the coast. So I can't really say I've been to Africa. How do you feel about the land? Is that your experience? Did that inform your spirituality?
Yes, I think it really did. My mother is from Johannesburg. We were in Cape Town. She grew up near the Kruger National Park, which is a massive game park. And so we would go every year to visit. And I think just to see, it's a completely different experience than going to the zoo, to see these animals, these magnificent creatures really in their element, doing their thing. And there's a kind of a wildness too that I think is just part of who I am. I'm very grateful for that kind of experience and that it's still there, that we can still visit these places where there's a fence, but the Kruger Park is massive, so it's the size of, it's bigger than some countries, to really be able to access and resonate with very different ways of being. There's something about seeing the big five, these giant mammals just doing their lives, whether that's resting or hunting or mating or whatever's happening, whatever you're lucky enough to see. It's just such a different way of being than we have in civilization in our current constructs of civilization. Yeah.
Well, I think often about the fact that, and I say this out loud sometimes, is that we're the only species that thinks, second guesses,
Yeah.
spends their time in their minds. And it's like the cow in the field doesn't actually say, they fart and they go, oops, I'm so sorry. Oh my goodness, they didn't hear me. There's
Yeah.
just, like you said, just outliving their lives. So, what is it exactly that you do in terms of the coaching? And I know I listened to your music. It's you have a beautiful voice. It's would you call that spiritual music or kirtan or I mean it's
It
very
depends on the song, but yeah, it all of I think everything that I do actually has a very strong foundation in spirit, and my music is no exception to that. I'd say that's the linchpin of all the things that I do. And yeah, it depends on the song. There's some really quiet kind of love songs to the divine, and then I recently came out with quite a strong protest anthem. around rising fascism in these times. That too has a very strong foundation in the sacred, in the sense of oneness and just the medicine that we each bring. And that's what I do as a coach. A lot of the time I'm working, I tend to work with women. Women are the ones who tend to come to me. And really to often what I hear is, oh, I feel like I'm finally the person that I actually am, the person I came here to be.
Mhm.
So the work I do is transformational. It's really about stepping into who we most authentically are and giving our gifts from that place, really delivering our medicine to the world. And that too, for me, it's a profoundly spiritual process. I get to sit with, I'm thinking of a client I just met with. I get to sit with someone in, it's holy work, like really in their inner world and enter that at such depth.
Mhm.
And then it really feels like when I'm really doing my job, it's like I'm making space for something to move through and to ask the right question or do the reframe or whatever it is. So it's a dance. It really is. And I often say to clients, I'm not quite like I can give you an idea of what this is going to look like, but it really does unfold together. It's really a co-creating. And yeah, people. I tend to draw two streams of people, either people really looking to give their medicine to the world, to really finally step into the gifts that they have, really own them and give them and step into voice, step into visibility from a place of authenticity in a way that feels aligned with, that's not pushing, that's about receiving. And the other realm is I teach and write on the theme of navigating the dark night of the soul, having had my own journey with this. And so it's not uncommon for people to come to me when they're really in it. They're really in a hard place. Yeah.
Well, I definitely want to get to the Dark Night of the Soul piece for the individual and for the collective, because I know you've recently written a book and it's in process. So it's a huge topic. If you've heard some of my podcasts, it gets brought up almost every time, and it's always by me. So
Oh,
yeah,
well, this time was me. Yeah.
yeah, that's right. That's right. Do you believe that people come in with gifts?
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
And that the process of being human being on planet Earth is about uncovering and remembering who we are. Could you speak to that?
Absolutely. It's twofold. It's about uncovering and remembering who we are. And also, ultimately, it's about really honing those gifts and giving them in the most distinctive way which is us. It's who we are. Thelonious Monk, the great jazz pianist, said, "A genius is a person most like himself." This
Mm,
was a genius saying, "A genius is a person most like himself." And I just love that quote so much because this is what I see. It's like we do come in with these gifts, and then we go through, we encounter trauma in the family system or the school system, or there's ancestral or cultural or collective or institutional forms of trauma, gender, race. There's all kinds of things that we encounter and we shut down. We do this to survive. I think that the psyche really does its best with what it has. And there's a way that we shut down, we accommodate, we caretake, we whatever our patterns might be, fight, fawn, flee, etc. And usually when, well, I would say actually just about always when someone comes to me, and I also have a group program, when people are blocked, this is what's at root. There's something that's literally clogging the channel, and part of our awakening, our self-realization is clearing that, so that you might say, so that our gifts can flow through clearly. You might say that so that the divine can move through us clearly. But it's really kind of going in there and establishing enough safety and enough capacity to feel what's there and then let it move. See, these things want to move through us. They
yeah,
don't want to be stuck. And when we can do that, then a lot can begin to flow. So
yeah.
I hope that answers your question. Yeah.
Yes. Well, also, I'm a very visual person, and as you're speaking about the trauma pieces and all the different ways that we come to that, I'm essentially seeing in my mind the way energy becomes dense.
Right.
And we talk about the fact that everything is moving, everything is in motion, including the human body, the luminous field, the energetic field, all of that. And so with the trauma, I had read that it's about 48 hours before, if you don't address and clear, before it sort of lodges in.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be some huge car wreck or divorce or something like that. It can, but, and it will affect us.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
how do you help people navigate that and clear that? That's part one. And I'm going to
Yeah.
ask part two because I don't want to forget this question.
Yeah.
How do you help people reframe in such a way that they can stop looping
Yeah.
in their heads?
Yeah. So gently, entering gently. And trauma, again, whether it's, wherever it's coming from, it's relational. We learn these hard lessons through people, a teacher, a parent, whatever it is. And the key to healing in my own experience too is coming into relationship in a way that offers a safe container for these things to unpack themselves. So when I work with someone, I tend to work on multiple levels. Nervous system, completely key, the foundation, body, heart, mind, spirit, all of it, and often weaving between. And with trauma, a lot of it's about actually just beginning to establish a sense of safety in the body. We learn with trauma that we can't necessarily trust our body, our perception, which is where hypervigilance comes in, clenching, growing rigid. And so establishing, first of all, a container, like a relational container of safety, and then really just easing our way in. And it's twofold. It's opening to the difficult as it is building resource, building capacity, which comes with really grounding into our strength, into resource, into what's here that's positive. And the more ground, the more inner resource we have, the more capacity there is to hold the difficult.
Mm.
And the nervous system learns to kind of unpack and unwind, and it does this in small digestible bits.
It,
I think that was the first question. I forgot the second one.
okay, if I can pull a thread or two on that,
Yeah.
two things came through as you're speaking, that the safety piece is critical.
Yeah.
And to go in gently and to allow. And I took a yin yoga certification class in Bali, I don't know,
Lovely.
8 years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
And one of the things that they really reiterated over and over again is the body needs to feel safe in order to let go. That's why we hold the positions for anywhere from the minimum is 90 seconds, but 5 minutes, because
Mm.
finally the body would go, oh, we're okay. We can let go.
Yeah, that's right.
So that kind of came to mind as you were talking about the safety piece. And the other one was I went to the chiropractor the other day and they put these electric pads on me. And
Yeah.
here's why we're doing this. So I love,
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
when people tell me why.
Yeah.
And he said, we want you to relax so that I can actually work with you.
Mm.
And it's the same sort of thing, to
Yeah.
allow the relaxation, to allow the safety. And the other thing you said was hypervigilance.
Yeah.
How often have we met people or been that person? I'll fess up. I had a therapist once tell me 40 years ago, we're just going to rename your middle name. We're going to call it just in case.
Yeah.
What happens if? And she said, okay,
Yeah.
just in case.
Yeah.
So that made sense to me when you said that, is
Yeah.
that hypervigilance of nothing was safe. And so I'm going to make sure everything's safe.
That's right.
All right. So
Right. Yeah.
finding a
Yeah.
container
Yeah.
or a person, a
Yeah.
process where we can relax into and allow.
That's right. That's right. It's one thing to tell someone to relax. It doesn't work. What does work is the nervous system learning that it's actually safe to
Yes.
begin to relax. It's safe to open to like, oh, okay, I'm here. We're animals. And the animal body, it doesn't learn through commands or orders. It learns the soft, as Mary Oliver beautifully put it, the soft animal of the body it can love what it loves when it feels safe to do that. So
Mhm.
that's also why safety is so key for our creativity really emerging, for us truly stepping into our considerable inner power. We
Mhm.
all have this. And it can seem counterintuitive. Well, the safety and power, but we actually need that to
Yeah.
open to the fullness of who we are. Yeah.
Yeah. I heard a definition once of power is unconditional love and motion.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because a lot of people hear the word power, and this happened in a leadership program once, and they resisted
Yeah.
because they think we're saying power over.
That's right.
It's
Yeah.
not what we're saying. We're saying being connected to the unconditional love and motion in your own divinity, that kind of power.
That's right. I mean, to me, genuine power can be very quiet. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
it's not, we have terrible models of power in this culture and generally in our society. And genuine power to me is, if we want to look to leaders, it's the power of someone like Nelson Mandela,
Mhm.
who came out of prison and said, I knew if I didn't leave my bitterness behind me, I would be in jail forever. It's the power of someone like Gandhi. We do have these wonderful models, but it really is that. It's about the capacity to be, to rest, to flow. It's not rigid. It's grounded in something much deeper than the thinking, planning, controlling mind. This is genuine power to me. And we recognize it, I think, when we see it. Yeah,
Yes, and whether we consciously recognize it, our bodies respond to it.
that's right.
Yes, energetically. So I think this flows right into creativity. So
Great.
being able to access that power within. Can you speak to that?
Yes. Let's see. What do I want to say here? So much. I'll begin with this. I think we all have access to creativity. There may be different degrees. We may not think of ourselves as creative people, but it's there for all of us. And I think it comes from something bigger than us in my own experience. Like my best moments as a creator, as a writer or singer or singer-songwriter, all of that. It's when I kind of move out of the way and I open enough for something else to move through me. Those are the high points, I would say. It's not always like that. It's sometimes just work. Like, okay, I'm here when the channel opens. But it's about opening to that power. And so to me, what's key to creativity is being able to receive, actually. And
Mm,
this runs really counter to so many of the narratives we get in this culture. And it's often where I see my clients getting stuck around their creativity. They bring these notions of late capitalist notions of productivity to creativity, and it just doesn't work.
mhm.
It really is about letting the system open and receive. In my group program, I have the entire first module is around letting ourselves receive, like actually learning. We kind of have to learn or relearn this in this culture. But that's where true creative and spiritual breakthroughs happen, is when we can get quiet enough, we can open enough to let ourselves receive. That said, the obstacle to that, the obstacle to the receiving, the obstacle to to the creative life, the obstacle to whatever obstacle is in front of me in any given moment, that's the path. That's the key to that kind of receiving. It's not the way I see it, it's not here to stop you. It's not here to block you. It contains, if we're brave enough to open to it, the precise medicine needed to get us to that next place, the next level in our unfolding, in our creative unfolding, which I actually don't see as different from our spiritual unfolding. And we may be incapable of even envisioning what that is from where we are now.
So the obstacle is the gift. There's a gift of power within the obstacle.
It's the gift usually in disguise. You get to rent, you get to like, why is this happening? Get me out of here. You get to have all of the things. It's just human and normal.
Yeah.
And can you, and I think often this does, having a guide, having someone accompanying us in these spaces is huge. But can we go deeper? Can we stay with this long enough to see through inquiry, through meditation, through whatever, through coaching, what this is calling us to become?
Yeah. Yeah. We resist, in general, we resist change. We resist challenge. We resist something that makes us uncomfortable. So rather than, and this has been the work for years now, rather than see anything as happening to me, it's happening for me. You've heard that before.
Yeah.
And that's another way of framing it or saying the same thing. So when you were talking about receiving,
Yeah.
I think sometimes people think that is being selfish,
Right.
but those who refuse to receive actually are the selfish ones because it robs someone else of giving to them. And in this world, and this is where I'm going with this question,
Yeah.
in this world of selfies and look at me and blown up lips and I mean all
Yeah.
the things that
Yeah.
are so surface and
Yeah.
self-centered and sort of on the narcissistic spectrum in
Yeah.
there, right?
Yeah.
How do we see the clean receiving?
Yeah. Yeah, this is a great question. And they're almost opposite ends of the spectrum, the way I see it. There's a performative kind of look at me, and then there's a deep receiving. I also think we rob ourselves when we don't let ourselves have this. If we can't give it to ourselves, it's very difficult to give it to someone else.
Mhm.
We ourselves are worthy of it. We ourselves deserve it just because we're here. We're here, we're human. We have capacity for awe and wonder and terror and all of the things. And so to me, the kind of look at me performativity, leaving myself to try to get something out there versus actually really coming home to myself in a deep way and opening to something that's really kind of mysterious, really. That's bigger. Am I, and it can be as simple sometimes as, am I in my body? Like,
Mhm.
am I actually here?
Mhm. So the podcast itself, for example,
Yeah.
to, rather than
Yeah.
grasping, trying to
Yeah.
figure out, trying to get something, trying to get somewhere, rather than
Mm.
grasp, just allow.
Yeah.
If I'm meant to hear something that might help me in my life, I'll hear it. If I don't, I don't. And I'm driving along, whatever it is, but to that concept and back to this performative society and capitalistic acquisitions constantly, that's the measure of success or happiness. Going back
Yeah.
to this all ties into the creative piece. Stop grasping, allow
Yeah.
it to come through.
Yeah.
And I think you touch on in your work that creativity has many forms. It can be
Yeah.
anything. Do you want to
Yeah.
talk about that a little?
Yeah, yeah. I want to say one more thing, which is that when I open to my own creativity, like what you were just naming, like allow what something comes through, something visits, I feel like that's when I open to the mystery. It's almost like I am collaborating with a greater form of creativity when I open to this in myself. And that's when serendipitous things come through, or I'm writing a book. I read the exact thing that I needed to know for this chapter. We open to the mystery. Goethe spoke very beautifully about this. It's like when we open in this way, the universe meets us. I mean, I'm paraphrasing badly, but it's basically that. We open, we commit to the journey, the process, and we really do get met by life. So,
Yeah,
um,
I like that. We get met by life.
that's been my experience. Yeah.
Yeah. Before we go into a little bit more of what creativity can look like for people and
Yeah.
how they can access it,
Yeah.
which ties into another thread I wanted to pull on getting out of your own way.
Yeah.
I wanted to just touch on real quickly about the giving piece, receiving piece.
Yeah.
That sometimes people who you look at in society who seem to be just givers, giver, and sometimes they could be nurses or they all give. It's almost to a level of martyr and becomes an identity
Right.
as opposed to service for its own reward. So if people are caught up in the identity or the role, how do you suggest they come back into like the true essence of what they're doing instead of having it be performative?
Yeah. Great question. I think a really good beginning is just allowing oneself to get quiet and still.
Hmm.
That can look like sitting with a cup of tea in a garden. It can look like meditating on a cushion. And to open to what's actually underneath. And that's where we can begin to see things. We can begin to see what's motivating things. And we can also ultimately, if we stay with this process, touch into something deeper. And I think for those who've chosen beautiful professions like nursing, there's a deep underlying generosity, a deep call to service. And I think when we can get back in touch with that original motivation, that's where we start to come home to ourselves. And that paired with really just bringing as much as we can a loving awareness to when we're not in that place.
Yeah.
All of the ways that we measure, resent, whatever might be coming up in a given situation, to really to witness that in a way that's loving, not judgmental, that's where things begin to liberate themselves. And we can
Yeah.
kind of come home to who I
So,
actually am and why I'm actually doing this. Yeah.
yes. Yes. So coming home to meaning being in alignment with
Right.
inner divinity. Because I
Right.
don't think burnout is possible when you're really fully aligned with your highest self and your highest mission.
I think
So
that's true. And we may need a break.
yeah.
We may just need we may just be exhausted. And I think if we're truly exhausted, it's hard to do any of the things that I was saying.
Mhm.
We're just going to spin out a bit. So it might be as simple as that. Yeah.
Yeah. I used the profession nurse. I mean,
Yeah.
when COVID hit many years ago, I can't believe it was many years ago, it,
Yeah.
the heroism
Yeah.
that was evident in that profession was extraordinary. So I'm not bashing that at all. I'm very much admire, but I also want them not to burn out. I want them
That's right.
to be able to be in their highest essence. So okay, so we started to talk about the creativity piece and what that looks like.
Yeah.
So shall we continue?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I think you asked how creativity can look different with different people.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes someone will say, yeah, I'm a mother of a toddler. I don't have time to be creative. I'm not that creative to begin with. And it can be as simple as like, well, how do you get your toddler to eat dinner? Right? I mean, it's amazing how creative mothers can get, right? So I think it's everywhere. It's partly just a matter of, am I seeing this and where am I putting my attention?
Yeah.
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 Well, a lot of people probably ask you also, I don't know what my purpose is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so they think that they're supposed to be curing cancer or flying to the moon or Mars
Right.
or something like that. So a
Right.
purpose can be very personal. It can be big or small, whatever it is, but it's what the passion that drives you, right? Do you get that question with your coaching?
I do get that question, and I think it's deep because purpose kind of goes to the core of who we are, and I think we all want a sense of purpose in this life, and I think we actually all have a purpose. We may
Hmm.
not know yet what that is, but the problem comes when we try to fit ourselves into other people's boxes. This is where I come back to Thelonious Monk's quote that a genius is a person most like himself. It's our purpose is deeply connected to our genius, and it stands, I would say, there's kind of a Venn diagram somewhere where it's like, or I'm inventing a Venn diagram that there's an overlap between our gifts and our passion and our heartbreak, actually, I would say. Like where it's not just about following our heart. It's, as Mystic Andrew Harvey says, it's about following our heartbreak too. What do we care deeply about? And what are our gifts? And what are we passionate about? What are we here to say to? And when I'm working with someone, it's a process often of unpacking the things we think we should be doing, the purpose we think we should be having. This can be imposed. This can be, oh, I learned that if I'm just a good girl and I stay quiet, things maybe are okay. There's lots of places this comes from, but the more we can unpack that, the more we can open to genuinely what lights us up.
You use the word genius,
Mm,
which I love. We're not talking IQ, we're talking zone of genius.
yes.
What is the genius that is you? And it could be somebody like I live in a place where people cut down trees or they're really good at it. You fire mitigation, not
Yeah.
that they're just running around
Yeah.
chopping
Yeah.
trees
Yeah.
for no reason.
Yeah.
But they're really good at it. It's their zone of genius.
Yeah.
We all have something that we do really well.
Yeah.
And I think identifying that and owning that
Yeah.
Yeah, really important. And human beings are the most creative creatures ever, going back to the
Incredible.
mammals.
Incredible resourcefulness and creativity. That's what gives me hope. Yeah.
Yes. All
Yeah.
right, so that's our segue then into the dark night of the soul.
Yeah.
Hope. If
Yeah.
we want to talk about, most people know what that is and the hero's journey, but if you want to just talk about that for a little bit, and then the collective piece, this
Yeah.
book you've written, and I'm fascinated by that.
Yeah. I'll speak a little to actually my journey, which was, I came out with a book and then with memoir, and then I went into a graduate program and got my MFA in creative writing at the Iowa Writers Workshop. And then I came out and had a Fulbright to India to work on my novel. And this was in my early 30s and it looked great on the surface. And then I went to India and I completely fell apart. And I'd been to India before, but I was just sort of primed, I think. And I had a total breakdown and ended up coming back and really navigating my way through hell. There was just a lot underneath there. There was old trauma that I hadn't really dealt with. There was, and a lot of habits and patterns around, yeah, attempts to deal with that I'd kind of bypassed or repressed. And it was a life-changing experience. I went from someone who was very high functioning, very high achieving to someone who it was scary to me to go to the grocery store, to walk to the grocery store and get my groceries. I was too tired. It felt like too much of a burden to get dressed. I was that exhausted. It changed my life, this period. And it ended up being this also, I mean, talk about an obstacle. I wouldn't wish it on anybody, but it was a tremendous gift in disguise. It deepened me significantly. It greatly increased my strength, my compassion, ultimately a sense of trust in something much deeper than constructs of identity, than the ego. And so after I'd emerged enough, I began actually writing about the experience and then teaching on it. Partly I was motivated because I had a lot of shame around my own experience. And almost everything I got in Western culture was pathology. Well, it's PTSD, it's a generalized anxiety disorder with panic attacks, all of which actually was true, but there were other layers that were key. And I came across St. John of the Cross and his Dark Night of the Soul at a certain point, and it was the most helpful thing, the most helpful reframe. And it also actually spoke directly to my experience because I sort of was in this liminal space where it was very, very difficult. I was dealing with like a lot of terror, a lot of self-hatred, but there were also these mystic experiences that I was having. I was kind of in this liminal space. And those were pointers to what would come later. And so I began to teach on the theme with my good friend Donald Rothberg, who's a longtime Buddhist teacher. And I had and have a strong background in Buddhist practice. I teach there as well. And then also working with people. And at this point, I mean, I've taught hundreds, I would say, of people and had the honor of witnessing many journeys through this kind of a passage and only more firmly believe in this, that the Dark Night, it's an initiation into who we are becoming. It
Mhm.
is not easy. I've really different degrees with different people, but it can be utterly overwhelming, completely destabilizing. And the impulse is we really want to get back to normal, like to that person I was before. That was my impulse. And I've had multiple experiences of this. And each time it was like, I just want to get back there. Like things were good. But it's an opportunity to step into who we came here to be.
Yeah. Thank you for your honesty, because it's stories like that where people go, wow, if she can do what she's doing and become who she's become, I can do this. I can do this. And there are people I have, they're few and far between, but there are people out there who have never had any trauma. It
Mhm.
blows my mind. It's like, and and they'll go in the leadership and they'll all be sharing and everything, and they feel guilty about not having any trauma. I'm like, dude, you came in at a certain place. Don't feel bad about it. But people like you and I,
Yeah.
We have these experiences and we become and come into contact with and transmute and transform into something completely different.
Right.
From that, we're able to work in the world. And so I finally saw it as a gift.
Yeah.
But in the time, you're absolutely right. There's like, I hope no one's noticing
Yeah.
that I'm
Totally. No, and there was no, in my experience, everybody was noticing because I couldn't, there's no hiding it.
yeah,
And that was difficult as well. I learned to fortunately found the right people, a couple of teachers who'd had their own experiences. I've been fortunate to benefit from many wonderful teachers, but you begin to have a sense of like, well, who's actually like who's actually been through it?
that's it. That's it. Who has actually worked their own shadow?
That's right.
That's a bone to pick right there because there
Yeah.
are a lot of people out there. There are a lot of teachers out there and healers out there
Right.
who are healing from a place of shadow stuff that they have pushed down and have not dealt with. And so it informs who they are for the person in front of them. I mean, yeah, I'm all for the breakdown and the breakthrough.
Yeah, and it's an ongoing journey. I mean, I'm still working with shadow. It's
We
like
all are,
each
sure.
layer. Yeah, it reveals deeper layers of delusion. Deeper layer means deeper layers of liberation.
Yeah. I mean, and for people out there, shadow can be comparison or
Yeah,
competition or
yeah,
judgment. These are shadow pieces.
yeah.
And I don't know any fully enlightened human beings on planet Earth right now,
Right,
personally. I mean,
right.
that's the work, that's the
Yeah,
journey,
it
just,
is.
just spiraling up, getting better, a little better, a little better. And it's not uncommon for people who have traumatic backgrounds to be very high achieving because that's
Right,
how they coped with
right.
what was true. That's what made them feel safe. So that's interesting.
Yeah,
So let's then widen this out to the collective, the dark
yeah,
night of the soul for the collective. How do you see that?
yeah. I see it as an incredibly difficult and essential initiation on a collective level. I see it as a deep call to our collective awakening. And I see it as what I was just saying, an amazing opportunity. I don't think there's any guarantees on this ride. I am not Pollyanna about this, but I think we're on it. And how we fare is going to be directly connected to how much we can meet, what comes up in the process. And that happens on an individual basis. It happens on both an individual and a collective basis. The more we can, and this is as we've been saying, the more we can open to what's happening in ourselves, the more we create space for others. And we can do that in our communities. The title of my book is Sanctuary, because it's what we need to create internally and then in actual lived spaces through community. We're not going to get through this on our own. This one we cannot do on our own. Han said that the next Buddha is the Sangha, which I love. The idea that the next, it's not, I don't think anymore it's about looking to who's the charismatic leader who's going to save us from this. I hope we have good leadership, but ultimately it's the Buddha is the Sangha, it's the community. It's like all of us are really being called to step into our inner leadership, to our real power.
Yes, yes. And so it's fascinating that you put it that way, that we become our own sanctuaries.
Yeah,
So we become grounded, we become integrated, we
that's
become
right.
sanctuary individually. And then, since there is no separation anyway,
Right.
collectively. What about the energetically sensitive? Because
Yeah.
all this week was a little difficult for me, and
Yeah.
my life is really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you look at the moving pieces of my life, there is nothing to point to as
Yeah.
to why I would actually feel, I don't want to say depression because that's a diagnosis. I wasn't that. I was sad. I was melancholy. And
Yeah.
I had nothing to point to. And I said, okay, so this is collective then. This is what's, so my go-to is to cut the energetic cords. And for those of you who've never heard that out there, we have energetic filaments running to one another. And the more we love or the more we hate, or the more triggered we are by them, the thicker the cord.
Right.
So that's the one thing that I have done. What do you say to the energetically sensitive?
Yeah, I say that that's your gift, actually. It's deeply connected with your gifts, and we need you. Often these are the canaries in the coal mine. Often these are the people who break down, actually. These are the ones who break down. And so I feel like often I'm speaking to rooms full of really sensitive people, which is beautiful. And yeah, we do need to build that kind of a sanctuary. And it can be as simple this week as taking a break from the news.
Oh, yeah.
Or not. I mean, I'm working with someone right now. She's like, I'm just not looking at the news. And I think that that is absolute medicine for her. She's got enough on her plate right now. So it can be as simple as I think there's a lot of different ways. There's working with it energetically, like you've been speaking to. There's actually protecting ourselves, like having boundaries around what we're taking in. And there's also just letting ourselves process it. If we do read something really difficult or watch something really difficult, to tend to ourselves. Like, okay, take a few breaths, check in with your heart, step outside into the sunshine. Like, if we can do this, we become more resourced and we're able, we have more capacity to hold ourselves and then others. But I think
Yeah.
it really is about like, how do we care for ourselves and each other in these times? It's a huge question. And ultimately, I think where we individually land is going to look a little different for everybody. Some people they have more capacity and more desire to engage, but I think that there are key roles for everybody here. Your role might be an activist on the front lines. Your role might be the person who listens to them when they come home, or it might be a healer, so needed, or it might be you're just doing your ancestral trauma work, or it might be, I mean, there's so many different, it might be cooking. It might
Hmm.
be feeding people. There's so many different ways this can look, and it's connected again. It's connected to purpose. It's connected to our creativity. But I do think you're raising a really important question, which is how do we take care of ourselves? And I think on the most basic level, it comes down to tending the nervous system. Like,
Yes.
can this system relax?
Yes. Yes. And that goes back to the safety piece we talked about in the beginning.
Right.
A lot of times that we are on fight or flight,
Right.
hypervigilance, especially if they're scrolling, especially if they are watching the news, especially. I don't do the news.
Yeah.
I know the bits and pieces and the bigger overview.
Yeah.
I cannot go there.
Yeah.
I learned that lesson
Yeah.
in the pandemic. And
Yeah.
one thing I did last August, which I am going to figure out how to do again, is I shut everything off. I shut
Yeah.
everything off. John had left for a week and I went into a almost silent retreat, almost
Right.
silent retreat.
Right.
Yes, because you
Yeah.
said go out in nature.
Yeah.
And that's not a flippant statement. That's not a simple statement. That is a profoundly healing, resonant thing you can do to calm your nervous system. Is to
Absolutely.
go out and hug a tree, folks.
Totally. Coming into like Mama Earth,
Yeah.
connecting on the most basic level and retreating. I mean, I spent about a month of my at least a month of my year on retreat, usually a week at a time here and there, spaced throughout. But this is an opportunity for me to really disengage and go much deeper. And of course, it's restorative, and it's also about coming into contact with connecting with much deeper places, with deeper wisdom, spirit, with what's unfolding in the depths of my own being. Yeah.
I want to ask you a question. I had a client that whose life was upended
Mm.
because her partner of several decades found a rabbit hole
Mm.
and never came back out. And it
Oh, wow.
changed everything
Yeah.
and their parents. So when you're flowing along in your life and you think it is one thing, and then something happens, not with your permission,
Yeah.
to change everything, how do you recommend to that person that how do they stay grounded? How do they take care of their nervous system?
Yeah.
That's kind of a microcosm of the rest of the world.
Totally. Yeah. So actually, ground itself. I mean, I sometimes spent days in my experience of the Dark Night, like lying on, well, or a chunk of the day lying on the ground. I would take night walks and go lie in it. There was a particular tree that I loved. I would actually climb into this tree and lie in this big, thick oak branch So connection with earth, as you were saying, is key. The other, and I'm drawing from Peter Levine's somatic experiencing here, it's really, again, if there's someone we can work with, wonderful. Like that is really key. When our lives are upended, whether or not the experience itself is, I mean, is highly traumatizing, it's going to kick up old stuff. So to have a relational field in which to process that is pretty fundamental.
Mhm.
And then two other principles from somatic experiencing. One is it's titrating, right? So it's taking it just a piece at a time. Can I, okay, I'm feeling overwhelming grief. Can I open to just this much of it right now?
Mhm.
And then step away into resource. And by resource, I mean something that nourishes the nervous system, that grounds it. This might be looking at a flower. This might be watching a puppy video. This could be getting a hug from a close friend or calling someone who just gets it. There's a lot of different ways, but one piece at a time is how the nervous system digests things. So titrating and then pendulating, moving between, as a pendulum does, moving between what's difficult and what's resourcing. And that way the system actually builds capacity to hold the difficult.
Mm, mm. Okay. So your experience is vast. You have many things that you can speak on, but we're coming to a close. So, what have I not asked you that you would really like to share with the listener out there in terms of how they can become their own sanctuary?
Mm. Slow down.
Mm,
Start by just slowing down and listening. Because actually, I feel like I'm doing it as I speak. I'm like, well, what do I want to say? Hmm. Slowing down and listening to what's deeper than the kind of like, oh my God, whatever, where I'm planning, controlling, micromanaging, all of the things that you have a role here, you have a purpose here. It may not be clear yet. Whatever you're facing contains within it the medicine, contains within it the path to the next place, and be gentle.
mm,
Really, the journey that I know you're on, the journey that your listeners are on, it takes real courage. It takes real courage to stay awake in these times. We want to give ourselves a lot of credit here and a lot of love because if we are staying awake, we're going to see things that are really difficult in ourselves, in the world, and a lot of love and a lot of patience, and that you're not just doing it for yourself. Even if you feel like you are, you aren't. We are all connected. It's all connected. You may not see who you're doing it for right now, but
yeah.
there's a deep kind of service in the journey of realization. Yeah.
Yes, there's a deep service in the journey of realization. That's fabulously put. What we're doing in terms of healing matters,
Yeah.
and that's inherent in what you just said. And also, what I took away from what you just said is going back to rather than grasping, just allowing,
Yeah.
this whole thing to unfold and to do our best. That's all.
Yeah.
Just do our
Yeah.
best.
And when you notice you're grasping, okay, I'm grasping. When you notice
Yeah.
there's resistance, okay, hi, welcome. Hi, resistance. Can I be with it and also be with what else is here? Can
Yes.
I, oh, here's resistance or here's the grasping. I'm not going to fight it. I'm not going to block it. I'm going to let it be here. And what else is here? Because there's always something else here.
Yes. I call them golden nuggets. What are the
Mm.
little nuggets for me? So, where can people find you? When does your book come out? What are your offerings coming up?
The best way to find me is my website. I'm assuming you'll have links
Oh, yeah.
with the show notes. So if if this has sparked something for you, I offer a complimentary one-on-one breakthrough session. So there's an application for that. And it's an opportunity to sit down and really be in sacred space together, feel into the vision, feel into what's blocking it, feel into the alignment. And so that's one way to connect with me. My group program, it's a 9-month group program called Live Your Creative Genius. All of this is on my website. I also have, this is new with Claude, a creative archetypes quiz, which is just fun and free and kind of a way to discover what your creative archetype might be and what you might need to know about how to really tend to that archetype, tend to that part of your being. So, yeah.
I have to say thank you so much for being here. I've really enjoyed this conversation. I appreciate you. I
As
it's
have I. It's a total pleasure. Yeah.
yeah, I feel very grounded.
Oh, good. Good.
Thank you very much. So, I have one more question. You
Yeah.
ready? Okay. How do you recommend that the listener go out and live their most alive lives?
Oh, yeah. Ooh, I love that. Gosh. Get in touch with what they really want
Hmm.
and give themselves permission, A, to want it, and then to like go get it. And you can go in, again, we can go in small pieces like, oh, I want to like, yeah, live my wildness fully. Go dancing, sing, get into the body, but find out what it is you really want and go for it. Yeah.
I love it. Thank you. Okay, listeners, if you found helpful nuggets or inspiration in this episode today, please subscribe, rate, and review, and share it with somebody that you love. The more that we give for the sake of giving, the bigger the difference we can make. And if you're interested in coaching with me or grabbing my book, Stop, Look, Choose Your Journey to Peace and Freedom, go to wakeupwithjoni.com. And if you're looking for a retreat, go to paradiseranchretreats.com. That's new. Now, beautiful humans, it's your turn to wake up, go out, and live your most alive lives.